we are watching Game Theory's video, Five Nights at Freddy: The Ultimate Timeline. So I have been made aware that the last video I watched to get lore on Freddy may have not been the best choice in videos to watch if I'm like super new to this, which I am. So a lot of you guys recommended that I watch this one by Game Theory, so I'm gonna check it out if you haven't already, and I'm sure you have, but you should check out my Five Nights at Freddy reaction. It was fun, but I think I would have liked it more if I knew what the f was going on.
Today, we end the torment.
If this gets like 300 likes, I'll play the game.
The ultimate FNAF timeline is finally complete. Hello, Internet! Welcome to Game Theories! It is exhausting trying to keep track of this whole franchise, which honestly is why I'm here today.
I will say, I didn't know about Game Theory until, I don't know, like 2 days ago when I found his channel. I have watched like 6 hours of his videos. They're so good.
This timeline is massive. Seriously, it is huge. But when you look at the totality of this franchise, the story of FNAF really boils down to the story of one man, William Afton. His successes, his failures, his rise to becoming co-owner of one of the most successful restaurant franchises in the world, and his eventual fall to the monsters he helped to create, only to then be reborn in a new digital form later.
I'm so excited. Digital?
3 main chunks.
We haven't got to digital yet.
This started and how it came into being, the Afton era, William's decades-long murder spree, and post-Purple Guy.
I like how he's gonna break this whole thing down into this 20-minute video. I didn't watch this person's video, but there was another person's video, and they're like a short, I think it was like a short history of Five Nights at Freddy, and the video was like 8 hours long. So we're gonna see what Game Theory can do condensing this into 20 minutes.
Because there are lots of new big revelations in this thing that seemingly come out of nowhere, as well as just points I want to talk about further, I decided to dedicate one episode to each chunk. I originally wanted it to be one seamless continuous video, but
oh no, am I not watching the right video?
this is still about the story, the broad strokes of the franchise.
So let me know if I have to watch the other ones after this, or if this is the right one that I watched.
Not only am I discussing some of the more controversial bits at the end of each chunk, we're also putting in a handy little graphic in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, which will show thumbnails, video titles, books, and any other citations that we need throughout the video. So if you wish to understand that,
I am so excited. I am a source queen. I love sources. Cite your sources. That way, if I want to go learn more about this, I know exactly where to go get the information that you got. Oh, I'm so excited for this now.
Specific statement in more detail, you know exactly where we've taken it from. That way you can look into those details for yourself. I present to you the story of a loving, obsessive father who slowly descended into madness, and along the way, discovered the secret to eternal life. Our story begins all the way back in the 1930s. It was the throes of the Great Depression, and people were in desperate need of cheap entertainment, especially in Utah, one of the states hit hardest, 4th highest unemployment in the nation, and full of transients. People were tired and they were hungry, but as they traveled, there was one thing that could lift their spirits: a simple roadside attraction called Fredbear's Singin' Show. The ads were plastered all over.
Fredbear's Singin' Show? Yeah, I thought the first thing was that Fredbear's Diner. Now we're going back to singing show? I'm already learning new things.
He resembled cartoons like Mickey Mouse, Felix the Cat, Betty Boop. It immediately said that this, Fredbear's, was a place where you could bring the family. And the price, honestly, couldn't be beat. For 50 cents, you could get food and entertainment as you watched the local trained real-life dancing bear perform on stage.
That's dangerous.
At large traveling circuses like Barnum and Bailey, where the tickets would go for about $1. That's $1 without food. But this was a smaller show, like the type from the Vaughn Brothers or the Robbins Brothers, where tickets would sell for just a mere 50 cents. Capturing his imagination in a way that nothing else had. One little boy named Billy. That was his nickname at least, but his parents liked to call him William.
Willie? Oh!
The bear could dance. It could sing.
We're going all the way back to Baby Afton?
For decades, William dreamed of recreating that moment of bringing a musical bear to life, but how? The best he could do was using rudimentary costumes. William was inspired by the work of Walt Disney, who throughout the 50s and 60s...
when he showed rudimentary costumes, it was just like fur with, I don't know, looked like knitting needles. Knitting needles? Knitting needles. What am I trying to say? Knitting needles. Is he implying that when William Afton was young, he would take these knitting needles? Jesus Christ. Knitting needles? Knitting needles? And put them in animals to puppeteer them?
The big innovation, suits with 5 fingers. This allowed the performers wearing the suits to use their natural arms and hands to interact with the guests, as opposed to the older models where the arms would just hang limply by their sides.
Ew. Little weird dead arms.
He would be able to bring Fredbear to life. To appeal to the kids, and for copyright reasons, he changed Fredbear from a realistic brown animal to a cartoonish yellow bear with a purple hat and bow tie. But feeling like one character wasn't enough, he added another friend, a yellow rabbit named Bonnie the Bunny.
I thought Bonnie was blue.
It was an original character that he had created from scratch. And I do mean scratch. William's hand-sewn costumes were rough, with seams and stitches visibly showing. Bonnie and Fredbear would perform on stage to small but enthusiastic crowds. Finally, he was able to deliver fantasy and fun to all the kids.
He tells this story in a way that I'm so excited for William right now. I'm like, yeah, I get it. You are doing something, but William Afton shouldn't be doing something now because we know it leads to murder.
Things could have ended there. That could have been the end to his story. It could have been perfect.
Exactly.
Other people saw the success of his idea and they wanted in. Chica's Party World, a rival restaurant starring performing animal characters. His idea, except they did it better.
What? Okay, thank you. I would like to personally thank all of you that suggested me watching this video because I am already learning so much more than before. I didn't know Chica was our competitor. Okay, and Chica and Cupcake? Cupcake was competing against us at one point.
It hurt the prideful William Afton to admit it, but this restaurant was able to do the thing that he always wanted to do, make the animals actually come to life. All of the performers in this restaurant were robots, simple metal skeletons that were powered by battery packs, but all of them able to freely turn and talk and dance on their own, no human required. Brilliant creator named Henry Emily. This Henry, in some small way, had been able to harness the power of life itself. Afton admired him. He was jealous, to be sure, but he also looked upon this man with awe.
So that was from a book? I can't believe there's books on this.
It was the main stage that was for the kids. A rocking band of characters featuring a yellow chicken thing with a southern drawl named Chica.
And the cupcake.
A pig with a banjo, an upbeat frog.
Is this cupcake not that important in the game? Because in the movie, to me, it was the most important character. I love that cupcake so much. I think it's the cutest thing ever. So far from the game, it doesn't seem like anyone is appreciating it like I do.
From the local swimming hole and a brown bear. But bears were his animals. Adding insult to injury, they had the nerve to call this thing Ned Bear.
Ned Bear?
Whoops, that's gonna leave a mark.
You know what? I am starting to see where these murderous tendencies have come from. Friggin' Ned Bear? Are you kidding me? Let's sharpen our knives.
Afton's jealous admiration turned to hardened bitterness. A bitterness that would only grow over the next couple of years as families continued to choose Chica's Party World over Fredbear's. Eventually, his restaurant would go bankrupt, only to get bailed out by, of course, Henry Emily.
Oh my gosh!
That William wouldn't soon forget.
His anger is so much deeper than I thought. It just, like, in the other video, it seemed like he was just like, I want to murder, so I'm gonna do it. But in this, it's like, he is having years of slighting, mockery thrust upon him by Emily. And I know in Emily's eyes, he probably wasn't doing this to slight Afton or to mock him. But that's not how Afton saw it.
With the two franchises now merged into one, it was the best of both worlds. Afton's ideas with Henry's robotic expertise. The two men decided to launch under a new name, Fredbear's Family Diner, a pizza.
This is where I've learned about the other video started from here, the Fredbear's Family Diner. I love that we got like 5 minutes at least more of background on Afton. It actually makes me understand his character better. And he's not just like, I mean, he is a psychopath. Yeah, we can all agree on that. But in his crazy mind, he had more legitimate reasons than I thought.
A mix of humans in performing suits as well as on-stage animatronics. They decided to stick with Fredbear as the headliner, considering the yellow bear was easily identifiable as a brand and because he was the original performing animal mascot. Afton appreciated that.
That was nice for Emily to let that happen.
With Pig Patch and Happy Frog performing right alongside Fredbear and Bonnie. And as part of this one big Fredbear family, they even got themselves official merch that were released, ranging from masks to magnets.
I bet those masks look horrifying.
Not all the characters were winners. The reception to some characters was just mediocre.
Elephant!
So they faded away into the dumpster, storage units, and retro budget tech stores. Others, though, would fare much better, like a new Pirate Fox, as well as a blue guitar-playing variant of the yellow Bonnie Bunny.
I didn't even know that Blue Bonnie was a variant of Yellow Trap Bonnie? Glitch Trap? If you want to watch this and other shows and movies unedited full length, they're over on my Patreon. You can go watch up. Want to pick a movie for me to watch? Want to vote and polls to decide what I watch next and watch some requested movies with me? You can do that. that?
Business was booming. In the end, Fredbear and Bonnie's popularity would be so strong that they would be able to support the Fredbear's Family Diner franchise all on their own, while also spinning off a new sister location dedicated to their friends. In 1983, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza launched.
Freddy Fazbear Pizza, Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria!
Bonnie the Blue Bunny, Foxy the Pirate, and of course the headliner, a brown Freddy Fazbear. Afton was happy, mostly. It did bother him that the one original character that he created, the one that he himself played, Golden Bonnie, got passed over for inclusion in that cartoon show.
Afton is literally finding reasons to be slighted. He's like, there's no problems here, so I'm gonna make one.
He had himself a wife, 2 sons, a daughter. He had a thriving business, and best of all, he was able to learn the craft of robotics.
I thought he only had 1 kid.
Because it was quick and easy, new characters introduced into the roster would be given a simple hand-sewn suit with 5 fingers that any performer could wear.
Ew, that looks terrifying.
Utilizing a divided mouth with either a hinged or sliding jaw design. This was the first generation of animatronics.
Why did they have a double row of teeth? That seems so unnecessary for animatronics. Look at that Chica face right there. That is terrifying. Why does it have a double layer of teeth?
Afton had big ideas. What if the animatronics weren't just locked to the stage, but could freely roam the restaurant and interact with the kids? What if you could use more than just rigid metallic skeletons? Why not experiment with tubes and wires that would give the animatronics fluidity and flexibility while still providing structure? Thanks to Henry, he was practically speedrunning his way to an engineering degree. And while William wouldn't admit it out loud, one other thing that kept pushing him forward was the desire to beat his former rivals. But pride cometh before the fall, and tragedy was about to strike.
William Afton, oh my gosh, come on, my guy. It doesn't seem like Emily was that bad. At least so far from what I'm hearing. It's not like Emily was at home being like, stroking his mustache, being like, how can I f over Afton today? He goes to his freaking closet, pulls out a big book of Let's F Afton. Why is he looking for a problem?
I want to break down some of the logical leaps that I made. Let's just start off with Fredbear's singing show, shall we? We know, based on the retro poster that was hidden in Security Breach, that at least at one point, Fredbear was an actual bear. And like I called out in that narrative segment, dancing bear shows were a real form of entertainment.
Yeah.
The only problem is that, timing-wise, none of our main characters would be the people in charge of that business in the 30s and a series of pizza restaurants in the 80s. That just doesn't make a lot of logical sense.
Couldn't it just be like his parents owned it or his grandparents owned it and that's how the idea kind of popped into his head?
I suspect that Fredbear's Singing Show was either a family business that Afton then carried on to a new generation, or something that he saw as a kid and just wanted to recreate when he grew up.
It would be kind of funny if it was young little William Afton was a little tiny tot. He saw this other person having the real life Freddy Bear doing all the cute dancing and stuff, and then he's like, I'm gonna steal that idea and make it better. And then he does and makes it into this suit, and then here comes Emily and he's like, I'm gonna steal that idea and make it even better, and he does animatronics, and now William's like, fuck this guy coming and stealing my idea, when in reality, when he was a little tot, he's like, fuck this other guy, I'm gonna steal his idea of a live bear and make it a suit.
Next up, let's talk about those mascot costumes. One thing that I keep going back to is the design of Glitch Trap. It's a handcrafted suit. You can see the seams and everything. It is very much not a Springtrap suit. This is something much more rudimentary. It came at a time before animatronics were a part of the story. That's why I suspect that it was actually the first, predating literally everything. It's also a suit that is very personal to Afton. He put his digital consciousness in that form.
I don't even know what that means.
The fact that he's choosing to lure kids and kill them in this particular suit actually says a lot about his emotional attachment to it.
Is that a video from the game, or is this something someone like a fan animated? Because it is so creepy.
Golden Bonnie was uniquely Williams, giving him a personal connection. Only one set of characters have themselves 5 fingers, the Nightmares. Even Golden Freddy, Fredbear, was a 5-fingered wearable suit at one point in the story, before he, like everyone else, was turned into an animatronic. This seems to imply that all of the main characters had similar wearable mascot outfits at least at one point in time, and that whoever is having the FNAF 4 nightmares, something that we'll touch on in part 2.
Nightmares? I know he said they're going to touch upon this in part 2, but I don't know if you guys care for me to even watch part 2, so I'm going to ask my question now. There's a whole game where this is all just nightmares? This is interesting lore. I want to know all the lore behind this stuff.
Orville Elephant, as well as the rest of the...
Orville's lame. Sorry if you like him.
Fredbear, which is just so suspiciously close to Fredbear. And yet, there are two key details that we're gonna have to justify with any mediocre melodies mention. One, they're very rudimentary with external battery packs, implying that they come very early in the timeline. And two, we know that at minimum, Mr. Hippo does eventually become an official member of the extended Freddyverse. But if these things are supposed to be cheap, generic rip-offs, why would you be trying to rip off yourself? You wouldn't.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So if Afton created Fredbear, there would have to be some rival franchise. The only other person who would likely be ripping him off, Henry.
Okay.
We've talked extensively about how the mediocre melodies are clearly Henry's design aesthetic, so it just has to be him. I don't think Henry's doing this maliciously. He doesn't strike me as the type. He was likely building the robots at the orders of someone else that was running a rival restaurant franchise. But that's enough motivation to start Afton down a path of jealous rivalry. As the Freddy Files Ultimate Edition says, it's important to revisit the beginning of Henry and William's relationship. Seems like the recently released character encyclopedia has backed up all of this speculation. I've had this timeline written for about a month now, but I've also been holding off a bit to see what wrenches this character encyclopedia might throw into it. And on this particular point, I gotta say, it seems like we might actually have nailed it.
Oh! That would be so exciting. You make your whole theory video, or you write your script for your theory video, and then this encyclopedia is getting dropped and you're like, oh my gosh, all this work could just be for nothing and I'm gonna have to throw it out. And then the encyclopedia drops and you're like, yes, I got so much stuff right. That would just be cool. As you guys, I'm sure you know, it's cool to be right.
Fredbear looks like an imitation, altered just enough to avoid copyright issues. Knowing all of this, at one point the franchises had to have merged. That's really the only way that you get Mr. Hippo from the rival franchises.
The hippo's ears look like Lifesavers or Fruit Loops.
This also mirrors a lot of what happened in the real-life history of Chuck E. Cheese, with two rival restaurants, each with their own casts of characters, merging to become one unified brand. First, we know for a fact that a location named Chica's Party World exists. It is mentioned in the source code teasing sister location.
Oh.
Second, in the story The Puppet Carver, Chica is very explicitly looped in with the book versions of Pig Patch and Fredbear, implying that she started as a mediocre melody. Thirdly, her design just fits better with a theme of down home country animals.
Yeah.
And with her being the headliner of the show with her name on the restaurant, it would make sense then that when the restaurants merged, she was the one that was added to the main cast of characters while all the other mediocres faded away. It's also why when Freddy's closes after William's killing spree, she's the one to branch back off into her old franchise and is therefore missing in sister location. I think it makes sense.
I mean, it makes sense to me, but I'm coming in all new from this. If this gets like 300 likes, I'll play the game.
So with all of that in mind, my friends, we can close the book on the foundation of Freddy's. And don't worry, next week I'll be back to give you arguably one of the most confusing parts of this entire timeline situation, part 2, the Afton era. I promise that we'll actually get to talking about the games. I would have liked to have talked about them in this episode, but there just isn't that much in the games that helps us depict anything pre-Family Diner.
I didn't even realize that we didn't even talk about the game or just about anything that happened in the movie that I saw. But this was just so interesting.
Well, let's be honest, this franchise has never been just about the games anyway. Even back in the early days of FNAF, we were decoding images and source code that Scott fed us through the website. The modern day books and the clues that we get from those things, now they're just modern extensions of that. All of it is crucial to understanding this franchise and its lore.
So the diner's never actually been in a game.
Wait for that inevitably cryptic game. I hope that this start to the timeline helps to fill in some of those gaps.
Literally 2 days ago, Film Theory put out this video, the Five Nights at Freddy's movie just changed the lore. I don't know what it's about, but if you guys have watched this and you think this is something I should watch and you'd want to see it, let me know down below also, along with like the part 2 and part 3 of his Five Nights at Freddy's lore, because I haven't watched any of those 3 videos. I only watched part 1. So, well, yeah, because you just saw it. Yeah, let me know if I should watch this one. Okay, so yeah, I learned a lot more from that video. It was definitely more beginner level, which is what I definitely needed. I learned a lot more. I am really interested in all this, whether I play the games or not. The lore of this is something I could see myself just watching a bunch of videos on. I do hope you guys want to see me watch the other videos, but whether you want to see them or not, I'll definitely watch them at least for myself. I'm not good at games. I can play the game, edit it down, throw it on for you guys to see like the best parts of it if you want. I could do that. Just let me know what you want down below and I could do that for you. Thank you guys for watching this with me. Bye.